Thank you for attending. I just wanted to briefly make an introduction in spelling so that way we can move forward with our press event. Today you'll have the pleasure of speaking with Chief Albert Martinez, Chief of Dallas ISD Police. That spelling is Albert, the traditional way, A-L-B-E-R-T, Martinez, M-A-R-T-I-N-E-Z. Again, Chief of Police for the Dallas Independent School District's Police Department. And then following that, after an update, we will provide an opportunity for questions, and we know that there are some questions that you all have. We will allot a few minutes for that, and then at the conclusion of that, we will wrap and end this particular briefing opportunity. So thank you so much, and I'll turn it over to our Chief of Police, Albert Martinez. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. I want to thank everyone for their patience and understanding as we prepare to provide information on the shooting that happened at our Wilmer-Hutchins High School. As you can imagine, yesterday we were busy with trying to track down information and prepare our investigation and move forward with that, and then be able to update you all today. This is obviously not something that we want to happen, but we understand the violence that is happening in our communities, not only in Dallas, but throughout the state. First of all, I'd like to take a moment and thank the Dallas Independent School District Police, our men and women who were there and did everything they needed to do to get inside that school. The Dallas Police Department, the Texas Department of Public Safety, DART Police, Dallas County Sheriff's Office, the Hutchins Police Department, the Dallas Fire Rescue, the ATF, the FBI, Dallas Constable's Office, and the Dallas County Marshal's Office. The Dallas Independent School District Police is the lead investigative agency in this shooting. We are committed to making our schools the safe haven that we all expect. Safety is everyone's responsibility, and it starts in our communities and continues on in our schools. Dallas ISD Police and Security and the district schools monitoring teams spend an enormous time training, along with carrying out those monitoring duties, ensuring that our safety and security is taking place in these schools, including Wilmer-Hutchins, and reviewing our safety protocols on how we can be better. We also have a duty to you all, to the community, to be transparent and accurate with our information, but we also have to be responsible on providing that information, again, to make sure that we are being accurate and we are providing you all with the most capable or most useful information at the time. Of course, it takes time to gain an accurate picture of what happened. We understand the frustrations, parents and students, and trust me, we're all feeling that frustration, and we are frustrated ourselves. Each of you know how detrimental sharing incorrect intel can be. This is still an active investigation, so not everything can be shared, but we are conducting our investigation. So, based on video evidence at Wilmer-Hutchins High School, at 12:56 p.m., the shooter arrives at the Wilmer-Hutchins High School parking lot and parks his vehicle on the north side of the school. At 12:58 p.m., the shooter exits his vehicle and walks around to the west side of the school and approaches a side door or back door, which was locked and it was secure. At 1:01 p.m., another student opens that locked door on the west side of the building, and the student enters, or I should say the shooter. The shooter is observed walking down the hallway towards the cafeteria, and that's at 1:02. At the same time, at 1:02 p.m., the shooter opens fire and wounds 4 students, and the other students that were in that hallway scramble away from the shooter. At 1:03 p.m., the shooter is fleeing and exiting out the same door, and then he runs back to the vehicle that he had in the parking lot at the north side of the school, enters that vehicle, and leaves the campus. And through that timeline from the point of entry into the school to the time he exits is less than 2 minutes. I do want to correct some misconceptions and share what we can. We've worked on our safety protocols. Again, this entry was not made through the front doors, the metal detectors. We've talked about that. Obviously, we were here about a year ago talking about this very situation, but this did not happen through our front doors or through our metal detectors. Our safety protocols were being followed by our staff and our officers. Our metal detectors were operating effectively. I want to emphasize to you all that all doors at this campus were locked and were secure. As you know now, the suspect is in custody, and he was a student enrolled in Wilmer-Hutchins High School. Our students' privacy limits does not allow the district to confirm his name, but that is pretty much common information now. The suspect was let's see, again, mentioning here that 4 students were wounded in this shooting. Another 5th student suffered a injury, but that was more of a scrape or a bruise from the falling and running. Dr. Elizalde and the school leadership team members have reached out to the families of the victims who are expected to make a full recovery. We are aware of an unauthorized video circulating social media that appears to be from the school's surveillance camera. We are investigating how this video came about or how it was accessed and released. And at this time, we cannot fully confirm or cannot confirm validity of the content. At this time, our Wilmer-Hutchins High School will remain closed. It was already going to be closed on Monday. Our staff will return on Tuesday, and we expect our students will return on Wednesday unless the superintendent and our staff or cabinet members decide otherwise. With that, I'm going to open it to you all for questions.
Did you wait for 4 hours?
Sir.
Can you tell us why did the district wait for 4 hours to tell the public that the gunman was on the loose?
Yes, ma'am. So in these situations, first of all, we're dealing with a very large high school. Our protocols are very simple. We go in to stop the killing, stop the dying. It's written in law. It's written in our policy. Once we've established that, we're rendering aid, ensuring we get the students out, and then we start sweeping the school. So by the time we finish with all that, then we're getting information. This is the potential shooter. Usually, with all these situations, there's always a second shooter, real or imagined. So by the time we're getting all this information, when we established that we had information, we sent out teams to go find him. At the time, we did not feel that we needed to put out that information. Maybe it was slower, maybe it wasn't. But it wasn't going to exactly do a public good to put it out immediately. We also didn't really have a good description. We had a name. Actually, we had several names. But that being said, we sent out our law enforcement teams to go find him.
I'm going to take one here and in the back.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, your team has said that this gun was not brought in during normal intake hours. What are normal intake hours, and are there only metal detectors at the front doors and not anywhere else in the school?
The protocol at the school is they come in through that front door at intake hours and after intake. So in other words, once the bell rings and school starts, the intake, the late arrival as we call it, is at the front entrance where there are metal detectors. The protocol is everybody comes in through there. Again, it's in our practice, in our student conduct, that those doors are not opened when somebody's outside at the other doors.
So if the doors were secure then how was that student able to just open the door?
It's got a push bar, right? We have to have those doors available to be open from the inside because of fire code.
Would you describe what secure means
Sure.
more explicitly?
So secure, it just means it's locked and it cannot be opened from the outside. They can be opened from the inside, like any doors that you see, probably even in your own building, where you just push it open to go out, but that's in compliance with fire code.
And so why are there not metal detectors at other doors?
You started this press conference, you mentioned frustrations. Can you share what some of those frustrations have been?
Sure. We've worked very hard. As you all know, again, we were having this conversation a year ago. And what I mentioned to you all when we were talking or being interviewed, we talked about safety protocols, the things that we're doing. We did those things. I'm here to tell you, I believe because we did those things, that gunman was not able to get in through the front doors, knowing that we are doing our baggage checks. We are working through our metal detectors, these brand new metal detectors that we bought. We do sweeps, we do audits. We're doing all the things that we're expected to do. And what's frustrating is that he was able to come in through another door that, yes, we patrol and we sweep that as well, but like everything else, we're not able to be there right on that spot every single time, and there's a lot of entry doors into this high school, like many high schools.
After
I'm gonna,
Give me a second.
listen, I'm gonna make sure we have everyone's questions answered, but we'll start here, I'm coming here, and then you. That'd be great, yes, yeah.
¿Enfrentará algún cargo el estudiante que abrió la puerta?
Ahorita para ese estudiante que abrió la puerta, vamos a hacer las policies del distrito en esa persona, pero también vamos a buscar a ver si hay cargos criminales.
¿Pero ya lo
So,
identificaron? ¿Saben quién es?
mándeme.
¿Ya lo identificaron? ¿Quién fue el
Sí,
que
señor.
abrió?
Yes. So what they asked was, is the student that opened the door facing criminal charges? That student did violate code of conduct of our handbook, so he will face administrative penalties. But that is also incorporated in our criminal investigation, and we'll determine if there will be criminal charges.
One right here, back there, green shirt.
You mentioned, we were here a year ago talking about an incident at this same high school. And the superintendent said, we're going to do everything to make sure this doesn't happen again. Now that it has, what would you say to parents who don't trust their students will be safe at this school?
Well, first of all, we recognize that feeling. We understand. But second, we've been working on these protocols continuously. It's not ever stale, right? What you will see different is, as we continue through the school year, is more police and security. We're increasing staffing. We're also adding school leadership. But in the meantime, that's the front end. We want them to be assured that we are keeping it safe. But at the same time, we're going back to the drawing board and what else can we do through technology, through personnel, through our procedures and our processes of how do we enhance this. Plus, the other part is we have a large student body there. How do we incorporate them better in the safety and security? I'll give you an example. We just recognized the fourth grader 10 days ago or maybe 2 weeks ago for recognizing at another school that somebody was trying to come in through the back door. A fourth grader recognizing this person shouldn't be allowed in and goes tells an adult. Here we have somebody much older, and I get it, it's the teenage ways of thinking, but we have to keep emphasizing that we're all responsible for that safety.
Okay, I'm gonna go right here, I'm going right here, and then green shirt.
Mándeme.
Están nerviosos de enviar a sus hijos a clases. Algunos dicen que no quieren regresar el miércoles. ¿Usted puede garantizar que la seguridad en las escuelas del Distrito Escolar de Dallas es la adecuada? Y doctora, una pregunta para usted también. Padres de familia indicaron que no fueron notificados de lo que ocurría en la escuela. ¿Cuál es el protocolo de notificación para los padres?
Yeah, so sí, vamos a garantir que vamos a estar ahí y proteger la escuela. Porque ahorita estamos en el medio de testing y queremos que sepan los padres y los estudiantes que van a estar, la seguridad está ahí. Como le digo, ahorita estamos haciendo todo lo que podemos antes de esto y también ahorita y después.
Green.
Yeah, we've obviously already invested in metal detectors. This is another instance similar to one where shooters are getting in through side doors. I mean, how do we prevent this from happening? This could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely. I can tell you that there are metal detectors there, but we don't allow intake there, right? We've even talked about putting sensors on the doors. Can you remove the handles from the outside of the doors? But there's a fire code, and that's a balance. And we run into that with DFR inspections to ensure that there's an ability, if we have a fire alarm happen or an actual fire, they have to be able to get out. We can't go back to the days of chaining those doors and nobody can get out, nobody can get in. And that's the balance that we're facing.
After Santa Fe,
I'm gonna go right here, we've already gotten to you, I'll get here and white, and we'll
Yes,
try
ma'am.
to circle back.
Yeah, after last year's shooting, Superintendent Elizalde pointed out the vulnerabilities of the many doors in the school, and so that you would work with the school to identify those and conduct an after-action review. What were the results of that review? And did anything change?
Well, again, those doors remain locked. I can tell you, without getting way too deep into it for safety and security, our maintenance staff conduct sweeps of those doors to ensure they're locked. We actually get penalties from the state, or at least through their audits, if they find that a door is not closing properly. Our police and security conduct those sweeps as well. Our staff are constantly monitoring those doors. We have outside patrols when we have our patrol officers coming through. So those protocols are in place. And then now again, can we be there 24/7? No, we cannot, or through the entire school day. But how do we make that better through those sensors? How do we leverage the technology?
KDRA.
Do we know what led the student to return back to campus with the gun? Some other students were saying that it was over a dice game. He already had a knife on campus but left and returned to bring the firearm.
We don't have that information as to the why, the motivation, right? We do believe there's a dispute taking place. Obviously, there's social media that he posted articulating his thoughts, and we are looking into that. But to officially tell you the why, we don't have that at this point.
Testigos nos dicen que dentro de esta escuela hay una disputa interna entre pandillas estudiantiles. ¿Ustedes tienen esta información y la pueden confirmar?
Sí, señor, sí tenemos esa información de las pandillas y esa es parte de la investigación. Como preguntó, qué es el motivo que está pasando. Y no sabemos si es directamente la pandilla o si es más entre las personas. So the question that was asked was, there's reports of that this is actually a gang dispute, and are we aware? So yes, we are aware of the gang dispute. We are working with the Dallas Police Department. We're not sure if this is actually a gang dispute or is there something more involved to this, but that is part of our investigation.
Pero no saben entonces si era una actividad de pandilla. Todavía no pueden dar esa afirmación.
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll go right here.
I know that Flo was talking about just frustration of parents, and as well as I know that we're going through a holiday weekend, kind of regrouping. What happens next? I know that school's off. They don't. I think you said staff comes back Tuesday, and then students come back
Yes,
Wednesday. So what do we do now? Like what happens now?
So on the front end, you will see, again, a larger police presence. The superintendent has made decisions to bring in other school leaders into the campus, as well as additional staff, so that we can increase our presence, so that we can establish a stronger presence around checking the schools and providing support to the school. At the same time, while we're doing that, we will, again, going back to the drawing board and look at what else can we do better? The buzzers on the doors, right? And then if that happens, how do we react to it? You know, most of y'all know I served 30 years, almost 30 years with the Dallas Police Department. Well, part of the reason why we never went to ShotSpotter, unlike Chicago, is because we don't have the density, but we didn't have the police officers to go respond because Chicago does that when you're immediately there. So we got to put those protocols in place that if that buzzer goes off, we need to be there within a minute. And that may mean a teacher coming out of a classroom. And I'm just trying to give you details of how we would react faster so we can see. Those are the things we do.
Let me
Yes,
add
ma'am.
one thing. And so with regard to like immediately, like today, our support departments are gathering together with regard to what do we need to do also to support staff when they're returning on Tuesday. And so everyone from both on the school leadership side, from our mental health side, we will absolutely have additional staff members. Our chief of police alluded to the number of doors, and I don't remember off the top of my head the number of doors, but there are, because you'll have one entrance. I know you all have all the angles, like one entrance has 8 side-by-side doors, right? But when we collectively yesterday at our first debrief with all the team members, there are actually 13 entrances, if you will, with the multiple doors. So we will be putting 13 additional staff members from now until the end of the school year at each of those entrances, so that I can guarantee that another student cannot open one of these doors from the inside and let anyone unauthorized in. So that's one of the things that we'll be doing. But we also the staff needs to be a part of that conversation, needs to be a part of helping us. So I just want to make sure that I made that clear. And we'll go back to some others. Sí, como sabemos que era un estudiante que dejó una puerta que estaba cerrada, how do I say locked, really? Con llave, y lo abrió de adentro. Hay 13 lugares, hay muchas más puertas, pero hay 13 lugares donde alguien puede entrar al edificio. Vamos a poner personas del Distrito Central. Del resto del año voy a poner 13 personas en cada uno de esos lugares para que de este momento en adelante un estudiante u otra persona no puede dejar que una persona entre de afuera. Eso le puedo garantizar que eso no va a poder pasar para el resto del año.
I'm going to go Larry, I'm going to Larry Collins, and then this gentleman here on this side. Larry Collins, and right here, thank you. Larry first, please.
We're going to talk about the student who
Yes,
opened
sir.
that door. We do understand they could face prosecution as well. But where are you in identifying that student? Has that student been identified? Have they been interviewed? What can you tell us about that process?
The student that opened the door specifically has been identified through school leadership. Our detectives are actually reaching out today, if they haven't already, to conduct an interview.
I have this gentleman here, and then we'll go to Lori.
Okay.
Just to clarify, police presence will be increased, is that permanent or just next week? Do we know the kind of weapon, and what was the timeline for him being inside?
Yes, sir. So we'll be there through the rest of the school year. Again, this is to put that presence forward, and then we'll circle back and see how else we can do better, right? We are waiting on the state funding, as you all are aware, and our superintendent's been very active in that. In and out, 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. And the weapon for what we received yesterday was a .40 caliber weapon. No, ma'am.
Lori, and then here and here.
A couple questions. Were the students that were hit targeted, or does it appear to be random?
I won't get into the details of that, but we do believe he went in there specifically targeting an individual, and that's as deep as we'll go with that.
And do you know at this time if the student who opened the door, was he just trying to, oh, somebody's out, did he know, was he an accomplice?
Right. That's what we're investigating. How deep is the culpability there? Yes, ma'am.
Sir, after last year's incident, you did an after-action review. Did that after-action review identify these 13 entrances around the school as a potential vulnerability, and did you take action then about this?
We did, in that we were very aware that there's multiple doors. You know, you look at all our schools, right? Any high school or middle school, everybody has a lot of doors. What we consider, again, was doing the constant sweeps and checking the doors, making sure that they remain locked. We recognize that we cannot be posted at those doors or those different sets of doors all the time. But now with this incident, we go back and say, okay, what else can we do? That's our responsibility to our students and to our faculty and to our community.
Will you add, though, that what we did do is we have cameras at each
Yes.
of those?
Yeah, so we did upgrade our cameras. Thank you, Superintendent. We did upgrade our cameras, and we also have a security operations center that we also use to help us in these incidences or to monitor.
And that's because of last year, of the last incident, you upgraded the cameras there?
Yes, yeah, well, part of that in the bond package, and that has helped us tremendously because it's got artificial intelligence in it as well, like most cameras nowadays.
Right here?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, do you know where the suspected shooter got the gun, and will his parents face any repercussions?
If the investigation reveals that they have some type of culpability to providing that weapon, they will face charges, but we do not know where that weapon came from.
Jefe Martínez, ¿qué sigue
Mándeme.
ahora? ¿Qué medidas adicionales se van a tomar en esta preparatoria? ¿Y este estudiante fue precisamente a buscar a otro estudiante para dispararle, o qué ha mostrado la investigación?
Creemos que entró con esa decisión que estaba buscando a alguien. Pero es parte de la investigación, no puedo avisarle más de eso. Y en parte es de tener otra presencia grande de la policía, pero también de, ¿cómo dice? Más maestros y administradores de la escuela. Yeah.
We're going to just take a few more questions. I'm going to go to here, and I see your hand in the back.
Yes, sir.
Respecto a los tiempos de respuesta, una testigo nos dijo que hizo posiblemente la primera llamada al 911, pero que no le creían, pensaban que era una broma, hasta que le pasó a su maestra. ¿Qué tiene que hacer un estudiante para que le crean en estos momentos?
Pues en eso no debe que pasar. Cuando alguien le habla al 911, es necesario que la operadora o operador tome esa llamada y que comiencen a hacer preguntas, que hagan las preguntas para determinar qué es lo que está pasando.
So some students were also saying that the can we confirm that the student already had a knife on him when he came to school?
We cannot confirm that. This is the first that I've heard of that, but we will be looking into it, and we'll, again, review our videos and see.
What about the students saying that the clear backpack and other protocols aren't being followed?
That's being looked at as well, but that will be an administrative process.
Right here.
So are you confirming that the student was already at the school earlier in the day?
I cannot confirm that. No, ma'am. We'll have to review the video to see if he was actually there.
Okay, we're this gentleman here, and we'll, 3 more questions, and that's it, right here, and we'll close out.
In your professional opinion, was this preventable?
It's a good question. I don't know that it was preventable. When somebody puts their mind to it and we're doing everything that we can, I mean, it's probably best preventable that that door wasn't opened. Again, student may not have any criminal culpability in it, right? But that's why we have it in the student code of conduct and such. Sometimes when there's a will, there's a way, but it's our job to try to defeat that, you know. Yes, sir.
Chief, follow up that same question asked a different way. Is there anything unique about Wilmer-Hutchins High School or what happened on Tuesday to be applicable to any school across a larger district that you may have to look at?
No, but again, David, as you know, I've served almost those 30 years with Dallas Police Department. Our community there goes through a lot, and this is our obligation to them, to protect them, to safeguard, to make it a safe haven. I mean, there's a lot of good students there, really. The programs that are offered there, the college career, military readiness, so many of those students are there just for an education and to elevate themselves, just like we want, and we want for our own children. And that's our obligation. That's what we're focused on. And those bad few apples, or those few bad apples, it's our job to be surgical and precise, but our mental health programs are robust. And that's really where the fight is. It's in that mental health and the socioeconomic services that we provide along with other entities. That's how we prevent school shootings. We got to connect. You know, one of the theories out there, or maybe it's reality, the way we prevent school shootings is by having a student that can connect to at least one person, whether it's a teacher, a police officer, another student, a football team member, or a chess club member, anything, so that they feel connected. And that's where the bottom line is for us, not just the law enforcement side, but through our school leadership and police department. What's unique about this police department compared to Dallas Police, where I served, was so we have an opportunity to do much more, and that's what we've been working on.
We're gonna do this last question here.
Yes, sir.
Chief, in the immediate aftermath, we talked to students who said that their teachers leapt into action immediately, locking doors, telling them to hide in the corner, and saying that they would stand in front of their students if the gunman came into their classroom.
Absolutely.
What do you think hearing that, and are teachers trained to do that?
Yes, sir. We go through that training every year. We talk about it. We have the Raptor alert. We have all these protocols. That is key, because in a real sense, they are the first responder, right? I mean, we did have a police officer on campus and a public safety officer, and they have a job to do. But our teachers, as you said, will do everything they can. Again, we have amazing teachers, amazing staff, but they are part of that front line, and it's our obligation to them to not only keep them safe, but to train them when things like this happen.
Let me just say some closing words. This is, certainly all the questions you all are asking. I hope you all recognize those are the very same questions that we ask ourselves. And it is absolutely tragic when the students, overwhelming majority of our students who show up every day at this school, are working so that one day maybe they can be who you are. So they can be a reporter, so they can be a teacher, so they can be a fireman, a police officer. And our students, there are some students who are dealing with a lot of things outside of the school. And we also know that it is still our responsibility to do our very best. Those doors, I just need to reiterate, those doors by law have to be able to be opened from the inside, because you all would be right back here if some other tragedy occurs. and those doors were not able to be opened, and kids and adults needed to exit. So while there are certainly many things that, again, we will go back and we will look, this is an instance where someone had something they were intent on doing. While we can't give specifics, what appears to be clear is that this was not random in terms of the intent. And again, the culpability of the other individual that created the vulnerability is still under investigation. And so our law enforcement will take that lead. Our teachers, I also heard from our students, from our parents, and how the teachers immediately did their protocols, put the doors on lock, put the kids behind their desks, and stood in front. Those teachers did all of that to ensure that all of the students were safe, and that puts themselves at risk. So there is nothing that a district member wishes we could figure out. If we knew exactly how to solve this problem, we would solve it. It's going to take all of us. And yes, there are absolutely things we could do better. Please note that the first thing that we did was ensure that the kids that were injured were rendered aid immediately, and that we were sweeping the school to ensure that the shooter was no longer there. Was it only one shooter? It's very, very complex. And we appreciate your all's patience. We want to give accurate information. We want to be transparent. You all have experienced with other recent events what happens when information gets out that isn't accurate. And so it's very, very challenging to try to get as much information to you as possible. And this is a very, very heavy feeling for everyone, but I also want us to remember it cannot be heavier for any of us than it is for our families, for our students, and for the staff of that school. They have endured. And so we're going to put additional staff members there, from central office staff members to additional police presence. And I want to reiterate, since there are 13 different avenues of multiple doors, we will have staff that will be there for the last 23 school days throughout the entire day. It's not just going to be when the students arrive. They will be there the entire time that the school is in session, so that this one vulnerability that we now see, we can do something about that from now until the end of the school year. And we also know it's something we're going to have to consider, that the entire state, the entire country has to consider at every single school, because Wilmer-Hutchins is not unique in terms of how many doors you have. So thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, we won't take any further questions. We're going to wrap, but we appreciate you for coming out, and thank you again for your patience and understanding. Feel free to reach out to our team members who, if you have additional questions, will be standing by to help provide clarity as needed. Thank you so much.